Alright everyone, welcome to Arsenal Fan TV. This is my review of this evening's game against Chelsea in what finished as a goalless draw at the Emirates Stadium. And I'm not too sure where to start really. It was quite an entertaining spectacle for a 0-0 certainly, and it was practically a carbon copy of what we saw from Chelsea last season coming to the Emirates defending. It is hard to blame them under the circumstances given that they're going to go on and win the Premier League title. This wasn't a game that they necessarily had to win. They've come to the Emirates, they've defended well, they've kept the ball well, but again it's very hard playing against a team like that when you're trying to attack and they've got 10 men behind the ball. And you can understand that logic, that tactic that they're trying to implement in their style of play, but it does make it very difficult for us, especially as they're all players of absolute supreme quality. And I think you've got to remember that although this result, maybe given how we've been playing, given that we've had so many wins on the bounce, we're playing very good football, this was an excellent opportunity for us to make a statement by going on and beating Chelsea. You've got to remember that this is a point against a side that are going to go on to win the Premier League. So in hindsight, it's not a bad result by any means, but I just feel that we could have done a little bit better. If we'd have had that cutting edge, then we certainly could have gone on and won the game today. It's not that we didn't have chances to do it, it's just that we were coming up against a very good Chelsea side who, like I say, are going to go on to win the Premier League this season. Certainly that's what it looks like anyway, unless there's some kind of massive disaster on their behalf. But I think this result all but cements them as Premier League champions for this season. Getting into the game itself, the Arsenal line was one that, I mean, it was practically identical to the one that we've been seeing in recent weeks. It was similar to the one that played against Reading, the one that played against Burnley. And the only real issue I had with that was, again, I've mentioned it so many times now, Aaron Ramsey playing on the right-hand side of the pitch. Like I've mentioned before, I feel that this wastes an outlet for us. I feel that we're not as attacking down that side of the pitch. I feel it leaves a lot of work for Hector Bellerin to do, especially who started the game. And it just overall leaves us exposed on that area of the pitch. Unfortunately for us, that wasn't really the case today. I thought Bellerin did a superb job down that right-hand side, and Hazard didn't really have too much joy on that area of the pitch, especially. But I just feel that maybe we would have been a bit more penetrative in this game if maybe we'd have had Welbeck or Walcott starting the game. It's not to say that they did a lot. They didn't change the game all that much when those players entered the pitch as such. But I just feel that if they'd have been playing from the off, or if they'd have come into the game a little bit earlier, then maybe things would have turned out differently. But to be fair, it is a hard call to make because you see the cohesion, the chemistry in the team when you've got Ramsey, Cazorla, Ozil, Giroud all playing in the same side. The link-up play, the chemistry between those players. We play some very fluid football when they're all in the same side, and they interchange very, very elegantly behind the striker. You've got Ramsey, Ozil and Sanchez, the three behind the striker playing such good football, and then you've got Coquelin and Cazorla in those deeper roles moving forward. And they were given license to roam in this game, I think, because Chelsea on very few occasions caught us on the break. And it just allowed these players to have that space, that freedom in the middle of the pitch. And it worked very nicely for us in this game. It's something that works well for us in possession. When we're not in possession, I don't think it works as well because you don't have Ramsey tracking back to the standard that someone like Welbeck will. But I think overall it worked for us in a good scenario today. But I do want to see maybe Welbeck or Walcott starting from now on in that area of the pitch. But Ramsey, whilst I'm on the subject of him, I thought it was a superb game from him today, to be honest. And after the game, hearing that he snubbed a handshake with Piers Morgan really caps that off. The first real clear-cut chance I can think of in this game certainly came Chelsea's way, which was a bit of a surprise. They didn't really have much of the possession at the time. They weren't dominating the game, but they did set a trend on it with this first break. It was a Ramirez shot that I believe Ospina dealt with very, very well. It came kind of out of nothing. Ospina had a good game today, and fortunately we were still in the game at 1-0. And the next real chance I can think of, again, was one that came Chelsea's way through Oscar. It was a chip over the keeper, cleared, almost going over the line, but it was cleared by Hector Bellerin. A great clearance by him, and this was also a possible penalty shout, which could have gone Chelsea's way. I mean, on reflection, it could quite have easily been a penalty. I mean, I'm not going to say whether it was or not. In my opinion, it quite easily could have been. But the referee was incredibly inconsistent today. There was a penalty that should have gone our way in that first half as well. Santi Cazorla firing a shot. I think it was Gary Cahill who handballed it, and it was a shocking performance by the ref. Not just in favour of us, but in favour of Chelsea. It was an absolute disgraceful performance, and I think both teams are going to feel hard done by in that behalf. Going into the second half, I think it started a lot slower than the first half did, certainly. I think Coquelin was, although I think Coquelin had a superb first half, he was not really given that much to do. Chelsea, whenever they did have possession, they were playing it a lot in their own half. They looked very, very satisfied just to have the ball, just to keep it in their own half and not really attack us when they had to. They didn't want to lose the ball in a sense, and you could obviously tell they were frustrated when they did lose the ball. We did have some very good chances through Alexis Sanchez, especially. Giroud was kind of failing to get into the game at points. It was kind of a frustrating performance from him, but it is hard. You can see when you've got two banks of four playing against someone like Giroud, that they do make it very difficult for him. I would have maybe liked to have seen a bit more from him in the air, especially. I don't think he was as eventful as he normally is in that aspect, but overall it would have been difficult for him today. But I think the moves we were creating, the intricate play, it was very nice to see from Arsenal, and it really does leave a lot of promise going into next season. I think if we can maintain this kind of performance, if we can build on it, especially with a couple of signings in the summer, if we get that cutting edge, I feel that we would have won the game today if we had a bit more up top for us, if we had someone to put the ball in the back of the net. I just feel that we had chances in this game, especially to put the ball in. I mean, we were unlucky at times, but you've got to remember there were chances that came away and we didn't take them. That one at the end, I think it was Welbeck who just about missed it. If that had gone in, the place would have gone absolutely mental and it would have been a totally different outcome today. And the result, I think, would have reflected the performance that we put in, because, you know, we were superb today. It's just that we didn't have anyone to put the ball in the back of the net, and it's good to see at least this performance reflects the kind of results that we've been getting recently. And if anything, it should just give us more confidence going into our upcoming games. And if we can get second, this result kind of cements our place there. Of course, it's not done yet. We have dropped down to third, only on goal difference, but we have got a game in hand over Man City. We move on to Hull next week. We've got a couple of home fixtures. I think we've got a few more home fixtures than we have away, so a good opportunity to pick up points. The only real trip that you can see being a difficult task for us is Man United away, but they lost 3-0 to Everton this afternoon, so potentially we could go to Old Trafford and hopefully get another win 2 times this season. That would be an absolutely superb result for us. But if we can get second, if we can win the FA Cup, it certainly shows improvement of where we were last season. And I feel that, I mean, we're 10 points behind Chelsea now, and I do feel that it's not really a points total that reflects the kind of football that we're portraying. It's just that we had an absolute diabolical start to the season, and now Chelsea are really shutting up shop. They're going to go on to win the Premier League, and this was the kind of result they wanted today, the kind of performance they had to put in, and it all but cements their position as champions. But it is confidence building signs for us. If we can just get a couple of signings in summer, if we can bring someone like Schneiderlin in to bolster our midfield, if we could get another striker in, perhaps a centre half, it could be a good summer for us. We've got a very prosperous squad at the moment. You've got to remember we had people like Wilshere on the bench today who didn't come on. We've still got luxury players like Welbeck and Walcott that we can afford to bring in, and people like Rosicky that aren't even making the bench at the moment because we've got such a nourished squad at this moment in time. So positive signs especially. It's not the result we would have wanted today, but it is a point against the soon-to-be Premier League champions. So I'll leave you with that thought in mind. Those will be my thoughts on this afternoon's game against Chelsea at the Emirates Stadium. Smash that like button if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV. Check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game. And I'll be sure to speak to you soon, guys.
Hi, welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV. And this is a brand new show. This is the Match Predictor show in conjunction with Sport Lobster. And what we're going to do every week, we're going to take a look at the games and predict